Hey, everybody. Welcome to Lettermen Live, brought to you by our good friends at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint and a fun, casual conversation, and it's going to be an interesting one here in Columbus, Ohio. Joined again by the national champion, Michael Bennett. The difference down there, all gas, no brakes, Anthony Schlegel, and the quarterback on the end. He's earned that co-host moniker with me, I think, because he makes the schedule, Justin Zwick.
Yeah.
Look at that polo.
Okay.
That's amazing.
I know. I feel official today, actually.
You're not even repping any brand over there, Schlegs. What's going on here?
Carhartt, man. I didn't mean to rep it.
Carhartt and mac and cheese bites.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, this is what happens when you only have one car and I'm driving my wife over to work and we got kids Zooming. My 8-year-old was on a Zoom today for 4 hours. How about that?
No thanks.
And that's why I just look at the screen and all the other little kids are doing, like, they're all up in their chair, like, falling over, and one kid's got a string making silly faces. I'm like, you're fine, bro. Attack and dominate.
All right, so it's been an interesting week since the last time we were here. I'm trying to, just even comprehend everything that I've had to report, write about, hear about, all of the developments that's been going on with the Big Ten. When the President of the United States of America gets involved, that's when I felt like this thing has really jumped the shark. But that right after we left here on Monday, we had Lettermen Row sources telling us, hey, the White House reached out to Kevin Warren for a conversation on Tuesday. I really wish that we were allowed to reveal some more of that information, but that was a first-time experience for me where people representing the president are saying, we'd appreciate if you'd hold off on this. We're not sure if Kevin Warren is going to pick up the phone or not.
Isn't that nuts?
And that's the way this whole thing has been going. Of course, he did. He had that conversation, but there's just so much mistrust about what the Big Ten leadership is doing right now. I know that Schlegs has been beating that like a drum for a long time, but there's still an effort to put together a plan for October 10th, another to get ready to play by November around Thanksgiving, and January is still on the table. As of 1:13 on Tuesday afternoon when we film this, the presidents and chancellors and Kevin Warren have not had any sort of vote. I don't think that there will be a vote until they know for a fact that teams want to play on October 10th, because they have no incentive to do that. And that's the weirdest part about this whole thing. We've asked for transparency. Football parents have asked for transparency. Players have asked for transparency. They've asked for a plan. And what have we got, Michael?
Nothing.
Crickets.
I mean,
crickets.
At the very least, it is mind-blowing to me that they won't talk us through even a piece of this. Like, okay, you cancel this season. We've talked about it before. At least have a realistic second option that you want to commit to. And then they do that, and then they just keep changing the goalposts every time.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're not talking to us any type of way about, okay, this is the information we're working off of. This is the updated information. And so nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what decisions they're making, if they're even trying to continue to play this or even trying to play this season. Nobody knows what's going on, and the fact that they can comfortably sit there for 4 weeks or however long it's been and just let everybody stress is absurd to me.
It's absolutely absurd. I still feel like I said it last week, they're holding out hope that nobody else plays. I think they're holding out hope that something's going to happen where these teams down south, even though we've had games the last couple of weekends, I think they're still holding out that we're still going to be right in this in somehow, some way. But the fact that you have the president reach out last week and you still don't come out and say basically a single word about what's going on, what they're thinking. I read a headline where, they're not going to be working over the holiday weekend. I'm like, are you kidding me? You could be saving a football season, and you don't care enough to come in on a Saturday or Sunday of a holiday weekend just because it's a holiday weekend. Give me it's mind blowing. And you had November thrown out after Thanksgiving, and then you think President Trump gets involved. At least he's out there saying we need to be playing. We should be blah blah blah. Then people start saying, well, yeah, okay, maybe October 10th. And I feel like that's where all these dates start coming from, because the Big Ten hasn't said a single thing, right? So it's a lot of just conjecture of what maybe they will do, and you just have people making their names off of stupid stuff they're putting online, and people follow it blindly, and just makes...
Don't get me started on this,
well,
JC.
yeah, I mean, it just makes the snowball just even bigger and worse, and until the Big Ten comes out and says something, definitely, like, we're all just... guessing.
But Schlegs, I made the mistake on Saturday of dealing with the boat. I had a few drinks for the holiday weekend. I made some tweets about it.
I'm on a boat.
People want to have
on a
hope.
boat.
I get it. Like, that was my question. Like, are you in on a joke? Why are you filling your time with this when it's not accurate information? But that's a whole.
Because they have nothing else to do.
But,
so when I go look at this, the reason that we're throwing dates out there is because we're trying to use common sense to a situation of which the leaders of the conference have no common sense. Mm-hmm. And I had somebody share this with me. Let's look at all the people that are playing. You got the NFL, MLB, NHL, NBA, MLS, Euro soccer leagues, PGA, WTA, MMA, boxing, NASCAR, ACC, AAC, SEC, Big 12, Conference USA, Sun Belt, Youth, AAU in 38 states, not playing Big 12, Pac-12, and conferences that can't make money.
Yep.
Okay, so, and then again, you had the government come out and say, listen, we bought $150 million. We bought everything that Abbott had. Let's just say, hypothetically, they have to use 1%. That'd be 1.5 million tests. They have to buy $5 a pop. That's why they got them,
That's
right?
a very high estimate.
It's a monster high estimate, right? I mean, I'm talking, it's more like
0.1%.
Probably 0.1% of that entire stockpile. So it's not going to be affecting anybody in the country that can't have access to a test. But it's like, here it is. So the government's waiting on, how many do you need? Right? But then you go into the protocols, which goes back to the very beginning of you cancel the season, and then but you canceled it without even a plan.
Right.
You just canceled it for the sake of canceling it. Right? Then you have all the other things that come out from this week, and you have Jim Harbaugh, kudos to him, of being with his players and really pushing the issue of which he's never even had a conversation with their president, who then brings up the fact that they're not going to do it. And, oh, by the way, we have the game, which is supposed to strike fear into Buckeye Nation that, oh, we can't play this game. Again, college football is bigger than a game, right? It's about the student athlete. It's about the dudes that perform and the coaches that coach them. Like, that's what it's about. That's what everybody has lost sight in all of this. It's about giving them the same opportunity that anybody else has. If I'm a teacher, and again, you go look at it, they're requiring people in the state of Michigan to go work at the university because of their contract, but yet you can't have student athletes that want to go play.
Yep.
It's absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that they have all these different committees, no whiteboards involved, and they can't come together to have a protocol of which all they got to do is pick up a phone and ask any of the people that are playing, what do they do for, best practices?
Yep.
And we come up with a protocol for us to go play. You can't get COVID in a COVID-free environment. And if you're going to test them every single day, it's absolutely asinine that they can't have a plan in place to go execute.
Yeah, I don't think, Schlegs, that it was.
I'm eating more mac and cheese.
I've always tried on this show and in every reporting we've done about this to avoid speculating about the presidents because they're wildly unpredictable, and I don't know what's driving them. I certainly don't know what that particular president in Michigan is thinking or where he would vote if there was one right now. But I don't think it was a coincidence that Jim Harbaugh appeared publicly and spoke to media and brought his players out to talk about this and acknowledged his lack of communication with his own administration. Okay, if you try to piece together the straw poll and see where this is, I think it's about split down the middle or 8-6 in favor of teams playing on October 10th. If that one domino fell, that's all you need. Michigan State would also be playing. A team in New Jersey would have they can't pick a side. They're just going to go along with whatever. You're done. You're ready to go play again. I think that's the one holdout. Let's just say hypothetically, though, because somebody asked me this to pass this along to you guys. If they approved a plan to play on October 10th and your rival just opted out, said, oh, we still can't do it, do you care?
Nope.
If you win a college football playoff and you don't get the rivalry game in gold pants, does that matter?
Are you going to not play with them? That doesn't make any sense, especially if it's Michigan opting out. That's I don't blame them. They haven't won in however many years. Like
that guy was the president in 2014. They haven't won since he's been there. So he's like, what?
Yeah, he probably doesn't care.
No, of course he doesn't care.
So they can go ahead and do what Michigan does, but we still want to play. And it would be amazing to still have the rivalry game. But, I mean, to not have the season just because your rival doesn't want to have the season,
It makes you hate them even more because they're soft. You like playing rivals that are tough. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to be soft like that? Okay, poof, David Copperfield, you're good.
All they got to do is come out and say, we're going to have a vote. These are how your presidents voted.
Yeah.
And what president is going to say no? when they know their fan base is going to say, whoa, show us why you voted. I mean, because most of these guys are getting paid by public taxes, correct? So, I mean, they kind of owe the fans or the people of their state, an explanation. So put the pressure on them. Say, hey, we're going to have a vote. We're going to do it televised on the Big Ten Network. And we're going to see how this goes. I bet they all say yes.
Charge them.
Let's raise some money.
Make some money.
Yeah.
Got a month behind. I think that's the biggest problem, though, Jay-Z, is that when we've talked about this, all of us, I've said it before on the show, you guys come from it from a player perspective. Schlegel has coached. I've been covering, college football for a long time now. We all come from the athletic side. And the academic, for the most part, Christina Johnson's got some athletic background, and she quickly has gone around to see what everybody's doing at Ohio State and is supportive of playing this season. But, they don't think about what the fans want. They don't think about, well, if they play in November, they couldn't play in the college football playoff. Those are thoughts that don't enter their mind. And so when we're talking about the need to have a vote and the need for transparency, I don't believe that they would want to put pressure publicly on the people they view as colleagues. I would hate if I wasn't ready to do this. That's why I think
why don't they? Because higher academia is all about complacency. That's why you have tenured professors that can teach on 10-year-old crap. You want to get me started? Let's start talking about professors and stuff that just regurgitate the same crap that doesn't actually allow a kid to go get a job, right? Again, they're going back to school. They take that money. Oh, you got to live off campus now. We're going to be all virtual.
Yep.
Well, if it's all virtual, then why am I paying all this stuff for tuition when I can just sit in my home and do my stuff? It's not about the college experience anymore. I mean, at the end of the day, the reason that you go to school and get a degree and a bachelor's is to go get a job, to set you up with tools to go get employment. That's it. So they're already stealing money. But that's that whole system. So the problem is they should want friction. They should want people to have high accountability and push the envelope as to how you look at the overall 30,000-foot view of my campus. Because it's not just teachers, it's not just departments, it's everything, which also includes the athletic department and the amounts of money that it brings into your local economy. You should have all of those things on the forefront of your mind when you make decisions like this. If you don't, you are a sad leader.
Well, and I think to Jay-Z's point, the reason that having that transparency and a vote at some point, the reason that it's unlikely that 14 would say no or 5 would say no is because you're going to go back to that fan base, not just the fan base, but you're going to go fundraise on that. Boosters want that. Yeah. You're going to go back to your board and say, well, our athletic department is now running a $220 million deficit that we needed from this year. You're going to take that information? You can't – I just don't understand how you publicly say no to that while also trying to say that you would be comfortable playing in January or at Thanksgiving. No part of it makes sense.
I just truly believe that most of the presidents don't really value football as big as it is. I really think they just see it as, oh, this is football. If it doesn't happen this year, so what? It's better to just not risk anything than to work to make it safe. When they don't take the full scope of what each program means to the city that it's in, to the players, to the coaches, to the fans, to the students. They just see it as football. And I know that there are a lot in academia who don't fully appreciate how big of an impact football has. And I think we're seeing right now that they would rather just be like, well, there's a risk to playing football this year, so let's just not do that, and we'll go about the rest of our stuff. And then Schlegel brought up a good point about how they're stealing people's money this year by making people come back to campus for a week and then saying, oh, nope, now it's going to be all online, but we're not going to refund any type of the tuition. I think people should genuinely be suing for that because that's some bad stuff.
Well, here's the other thing, too. It's the fact that, I don't know if it's somebody that has to sell them on this, but what you just said, you break it back down. Let's take the guy from Michigan, right? Dr. Mark, okay? Not Dr. Squat, not Dr. Deadlift. Dr. Mark, he's over there. He doesn't do squat. He's not in the back of the room where the plates ride high on the back.
The worst shin angle that I've ever seen.
Awful. Probably dehydrated. But here's the deal. Let's take this back. I think he went to Princeton or something like that. Then he did his master's and his doctorate in physiological chemistry or whatever in his residency at Johns Hopkins. But let's take this. You doing your residency and everything that you were taught in facing live bullets and situations. And a lot of doctors go out there and do that. The reason you go get that is because you get training to go to the next phase of your life, which is being a practicing doctor, right? Or potentially then a professor. That is no different than what our student athletes are doing playing football. It is the exact same thing, just viewed from a different lens. And so what it is truly, it's a lack of give a shit factor of expanding my vision to see how something like this could impact something that I personally don't care about. Because if I have nothing to lose or gain from it, then obviously it doesn't affect me, right? But it affects them, and they're also part of your university. Yeah. And that's where they're very, very short-sighted, in my honest opinion, Jay-Z.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just keep thinking about when we were in school. I can't remember her name. She wasn't here very long. She tried to take tailgating away. You remember the president we had? She tried to come in and be hard on tailgate. Well, she didn't last long. Who'd they bring back? Gordon Gee. Because what? Yeah, Karen Holbrook.
Bam!
Because you start losing money, you start losing. That's. I mean, when you were talking about the presidents and their votes, it's like if that came out. And we talked about how the new president of Ohio State, if she would have voted no and it would have came out, that's a bad way to start your first year as the president of Ohio State. So, it's taken a lot less to get a president fired. I guess what I'm saying is why none of those presidents, I don't think, in their right mind would come out and say, no, I don't want to play. And then on the other hand, if they do, I also feel like this a lot of times on the academic side. We sit and see, man, we bring in, this football program brings in a ton of money for the university. Mm-hmm. Well, on the academic side, they don't necessarily, I don't feel like they feel that. And I have some family that were professors or this or that. And so I'm like, when was the last time 100,000 people came to watch so-and-so do something in the field, on this side of what you do? Well, never. But we continue to pump money into, and I just feel like there's maybe a little bit of disconnect of we have some power over these athletes that maybe we weren't one or we never understood it. And we want to use that power even though we don't really know how it affects them or we don't even care how it affects them. We just want to use that power.
And the problem is, all of these things that we're coming up with, all of this speculation could all be the thing. But we have to do this because they just won't sit down and say something.
Yeah, and tell you what they're doing.
Yeah,
exactly.
So now we get to...
There's no transparency.
We get to imagine the worst case of these people don't respect football. These people don't value the programs. They don't really want to have football. Yeah. All of that is now on the table because they can't just sit down and have a real conversation. This is why.
And that's also why, we've got this question a number of times, especially with what you were alluding to earlier with the misinformation out there, maybe on social media, Jay-Z, is like, I'm not going to make up the fact that a meeting is scheduled if it's not, or that they've put together a definitive proposal and plan. I've never done that in my career, and I won't ever do that, but that's what they're doing. There's groups, the Return to Play Task Force. Mm-hmm. They're putting together multiple plans that requires a lot of thinking, broadcast deals, testing. The White House is involved. How many do you need? Are you going to request something else? Do you need other machines? Do you need what the Pac-12 now has with daily testing? Like all of these things are what they're working on, and that is not something that could be done in 24 or 48 hours. And when it's done, it's done. And I've said it over and over. I'm thrilled to report when there's a positive development. But just because there's not one, I can't
come up with one.
I'm not going to make one up. And I can't reveal what's all in their plan if they're not talking about any of this stuff, that Michael wants some more clarity and transparency. They don't want to have a plan that started in Thanksgiving that is almost to the finish line and people, jump and say, well, bump that. We don't want that. That sucks. You're not going to be in the college football playoff. You have to have all of the plans done before any of these people can vote on it or agree to implement it. And that just sucks, but that's the situation.
And here's the crazy part about that. They've already had 6 months.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. I feel like they had that in place, and then they put out a schedule, and then 2 days later they said, nope, we're canceling it all. Like,
well, here's the thing, though. I don't even think they had protocols and stuff at that time. They were having best practices individually by the universities because they all look different.
Right.
They got on a conference call with the ADs and the head coaches like, what are you doing? How are you even supposed to practice? Right? So there was no continuity from the leadership of the Big Ten communicated clearly and concisely to every 14 schools that represent the Big Ten as to best practices. Yep. They didn't have that. And so the sad part of what we're seeing is the inability to come to a conclusion based on the protocols means they were never there to begin with. So they've had to literally make these up on the fly as they've gone when they had all this time doing so, which always makes me have this notion that from the jump, They never wanted it to begin with in the first place.
Yep.
Right? Because if you did, you'd have been to say, okay, here's what's changed over time. Here are the protocols that we all agreed upon. All right, now we have this rapid testing. Here's how it's going to look with implemented. Oh, every individual school, tell me about your logistics. How do guys come into the building? Where do guys go to the training room? What does the locker room situation look like? All right, now we know that you can have that. You can do this. This is still off limits. And then you can just plug and play. And it expedites the process if you already work. Remember, Coach Meyer always worked the game.
Yep.
If you worked the game from the jump because you wanted to play and exhausted all options, you'd be able to go like this. But the reason we don't have that it's because they never had them in the first place. And I still go back to August 10th or October 10th. Why? Because you can play an 8-game season with an off week before you do the Big Ten championship game. If you wanted to squeeze in 10 games in there, you could go all the way through, then play the big. But that really goes back to how many games are necessary to be able to be qualified, have a big enough summation of your body of work to go play in the college football playoff versus teams that have played 10. Because obviously, if they play 10 with a championship game and you play 8 with 1, you're down 2. Is that still acceptable? Right? So they get that's part of it. And the beauty is they've already been practicing since August 31st. Right? They were in helmets. They were in shells. They've been working. It's not like they're coming in here not like just off the street. They've already been working. So even this week, let's say it goes all the way till Saturday, and we don't know. You still got the week of the 14th, the 21st, and the 28th, and then another game week, and then game week. Yep. So you still have 3 weeks of camp and a game week to get your mind right for who you're playing first.
Plenty.
Yeah.
That's plenty. I go back to, once it started hitting in March and things started getting serious, you would think that's when the transparency should have started. Because I completely understand them not having a plan in March because we were still trying to understand the severity of the coronavirus and how it's going to affect athletics and all this kind of stuff. But you should have at least said, hey, worst case scenario, we'll have to cancel the season, but we're going to update you as we go along. As more information comes out, we're going to come up with different plans. But that's what, Schlegel's been saying is it just feels like from the jump, they had, once coronavirus came out in March, they said, oh, we're not going to have a football season. And then they just waited and waited until it seemed like that was socially acceptable. And they said, sorry, no season. And I don't understand how you can undervalue your football programs to the extent where that becomes the first case scenario is just to cut it off, cancel it, and not tell anybody.
You're not even undervaluing your football program. You're undervaluing every program that your school has because the football program pays for a lot of that.
Yeah.
So you're saying we don't care about any of these athletes that are on campus.
The entire athletic department.
Yes, the entire athletic department. That's what they're telling these student athletes basically, and it is mind blowing. And if they had a plan. And they had reasons why they were doing things. As soon as the Nebraska parents came out and said, hey, we're suing you, show us. Here you go.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have been that hard.
This is what we did. This is what we're looking to change. This is what we're going into to see if we can make it better. But here's our list of things, and this is why we made that, which goes to show they did not have, like Schlegel was saying, they wasted all that time. And granted, early on, you didn't know. Nobody knew how bad it was going to be, how it was transmitted, this, that, and the other. We have a lot of information out there now. All they need to do is bullet point it. Boom, 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 boom. These are our reasons. This is what we're changing, and this is why we're trying to have a season at this date if we can get all this done.
The TV contracts for the Big Ten bring in $50 million a year per school. That'd be like, I'm trying to think of an example. Let's think of Worthington Industries up here in Columbus, Ohio. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. That'd be like saying they're cylinders. They make cylinders, okay? Propane, whatever. That let's say that generates, I don't know, a quarter of everything that they have revenue-wise. Well, we're good. Are you really? You think your shareholders are going to be juiced out of your mind that you completely just took away 25% of your revenue? That's what
a tough sell.
That's what we're talking. Just so everybody knows, that's what we're talking about. That would never go down in business. But that also goes back to, are they essential workers because of what they bring in?
Right.
Which they are. And which is why they should get paid. And the fact that nobody during this entire process has even talked about image and likeness, like get a jump on that. Like honestly, what did they do during the pandemic? You were literally at home. We all worked from home during it, right? The thing was, it was difficult because your kids are jumping all over the place, bored out of their mind. People don't know how to Zoom. Now we're getting a little bit of a routine, but still, kids are still at home Zooming. The kid was on the daggum Zoom today. He's 8 years old, 4 hours. What? Right? But we're still trying to work.
Schlegs, they made a big deal of saying all summer long, hey, the conference commissioners, they're all on Zoom. The presidents are talking to each other. The coaches have it. We're doing it, commissioners across different leagues. They're Zooming every day. We're working so hard. Really? What did you accomplish? There's no proof of that anywhere.
You can wish in one hand and crap in the other and see which one fills up faster. Odell taught me that. Odell Beckham Jr.
Okay.
All right.
All right, put some mac and cheese bites in those. We're going to take a quick break. It's hard to segue from that, but we'll be right back on Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
All right, welcome back to Lettermen Live, brought to you by Roosters. Michael's getting some hands on that buffalo chicken pizza this week. Don't stop. That's for you. You're hungry.
It's fighting me.
Schleg's got mac and cheese bites. He's going to get into a competition with
mac and
Berm.
cheese bites.
What are the odds? Jay-Z, who do you have in a mac and cheese bite?
Well, I was just going to ask Schlegel how many he thought he could put down in one.
Here's the deal, though, man. Like,
I mean, you put about, 12 to 20 down every
I
time
think
you come
there's
in?
8 per basket.
Is that what it is? 8 per basket?
Yeah, so normally I'm about 16. All right, let's just say 14. Because, you had one.
That's
and you had one.
with that.
But that's an
Yeah, yeah.
average. Like if you're going max out day,
You're going maxing out.
I'm maxing
It's a
out.
max out day.
I need a back slap. I need Kid Rock. Right? And I need mac and I bet I could do 4. Now, will I be sick afterward? Yeah,
4
probably.
baskets.
But here's the other thing.
What's Berm saying he can do?
Berm just threw down the gauntlet. He was on. He
I
was
don't
on
wanna-
97.1 The Fan.
I know.
Oh, he threw
said
down.
that he could out eat mac and cheese bite against Schlegs. He said that Schlegs has
His
got this
body is
reputation.
so bad that
Does
he
that
could
help you eat more?
Yes, 100% it does, man. When you
All
got,
those
when you got a
hot dog eating
six-pack-
contest guys have 6-packs and they're little guys.
I thought Joey Chestnut was shredded.
Yeah, but he's 1 out of like 10.
He's the world. He's the world's best.
Yeah.
He is the world's best.
I'm not giving excuses. Here's the deal. I just don't want to feel awful, throw up in my mouth because I love mac and cheese bites so much that
might
I
ruin
don't.
it. You might ruin it for
would
you.
ruin it for
Yeah,
me,
you probably-
and
you're
I
right.
don't want that to happen.
I did that with a Chick-fil-A sandwich one time. I put down 3. We tried to go 5, but I just couldn't go back for a while just to see if we could do it.
Yeah, that's an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
We eat chicken
That's
from
why.
Roosters, but that's
Yeah.
So I'm just saying.
I started doing this show. And that's why I never went
Here's
back.
the other thing too. Like I also know like. Yeah, I'm not going to eat
But
this
let's say the
half of
Roosters
sandwich.
Foundation steps in here.
No.
It's
not
for
doing it.
charity.
No.
Cruise back and
for the
dominate.
kids.
So, how about this? How about for every mac and cheese bite he does, I have to deadlift, we could say a number of pounds, equal to the amount that he could do for reps, and then we'll raise that.
All right, we'll work out
Right?
the
You know what I'm
details.
saying?
I'm
Like
so excited for this.
Something to that effect, because at the end of the day, I don't want to look like him. And then you got Tim Hall. I don't
One
want to look like.
competition isn't gonna.
No,
No,
it's not
it
going to
is.
change
Here's
your
your
life.
temple.
No, man.
All you got to do is go back to the shop.
Jay-Z had 3 sandwiches from a competitor.
Yeah, and
God
look at me.
forbid, I don't want to say it.
I'm
If
starting
you're
to feel
scared,
it.
just say you're
I'm starting to
scared.
feel it on the sides.
in
like,
great shape.
My love handles are the place where my fat goes, and I just don't like looking at it.
I got some of those.
I think we can tell if we went back to see when this partnership started what I looked like until a year of Roosters. This is what you could achieve, right?
Yeah, look at that, man. Body is sexy.
now I
Body
need-
by
Bring it sexy
Roosters.
back.
I need this, and I've enjoyed every part of it. Now, do I need to?
You can order a salad like me and then eat everything around the salad. That's an option too.
Yes, they did ask if you wanted to take that salad home last week. You're like, I didn't have a fork.
You can leave it here.
But I ate everything else.
All right, this is good. All right, now I feel like we're actually ready
Now
to talk
we're
about
getting.
football.
Now we're getting
But
somewhere.
something that's got the laughs back going. So
We got Cam Hayward. Cam Hayward just texted
Yeah.
Is
me.
he ready? He's getting bumpy.
No, well,
He got bumpy yesterday.
Well, he has,
His
yeah,
bank account
he
got
got
bumpy.
paid $75 million. And here's the thing, though. Here's the beauty too. Like, I never played with Cam. Cam was after me. He was right before you, right? Yep. Just a great dude, man. That embodies everything that's Pittsburgh. He loves to give back, and that's what's so cool about Ohio State. I mean, today, they literally had 52 guys make an NFL roster.
Well, and talking about Cam Hayward's contract, just look at this summer for the Buckeyes. Taylor Decker last week signed the deal for Joey Bosa. A bunch of Michael Bennett's teammates get Zeke, Mike Thomas. These deals are just Marshawn Lattimore's going to get.
Norwell was one of the biggest paid when he got his deal. Right?
Absolutely insane. It's an incredible recruiting pitch for Mark Pantoni and those guys down the street, but it's also a testament to what you guys are ready when you leave. I mean, they're not just handing out $100 million to anybody off the street. We know that. They're not just handing it out to anybody coming out of any college
thank you.
program.
I'll have one.
Yeah, I'll take that. Thank you. But it's insane, the amount of money that they're making right now. Just every new deal that comes up, you're seeing these Buckeyes are getting paid. It's crazy.
Yep, sorry.
More so, the guys that came after me, like there were plenty of successful Buckeyes before me, but the guys that came after me seem to be on a different level. Like I know after my year, I think since then we've had consistently 10 to 12 guys drafted every year. And then it's one thing to get drafted. It's a whole other thing to be successful in the NFL. And successful to me counts as if you got a second contract of $2 million each year, that is successful in the NFL.
Sure.
And to have this many guys getting contracts of over $10 million a year, like you said, I mean, you can't fake that. You can't, lie your way to that. If you don't produce in the NFL, you don't get paid.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a testament to Mark Pantoni. I mean, he's always talked about culture over talent, but then when you have high character guys that have talent, that are genetically freaks, right? And then you develop them with that kind of coaching staff, and they have a routine, and they go to the NFL, and they have the right fit because people want them. They understand where they fit in their system, and they play for a long time. Like, that's a recipe for success.
Well, you've got to this spot now for Ohio State where it's not like. I know people like to argue about the DBU or wide receiver or whatever. When you build that roster for Ohio State guys, they are at every single position.
I was just going to say.
You can build a team out of just Ohio State guys.
Yeah, I saw one that didn't even have an Ohio State running back on the list of running backs. And it's like, whoa, what? We got one of the best ones in the league. Yeah. But you could do that.
About Zeke.
They leave all the Ohio State guys off, but you go and you do that from the league, there's going to be an Ohio State player on the top 10. I mean, at least money-wise, which means they're the best players in their position, right?
Right now, I can automatically go through like even O-line, like Corey Lindsley, Taylor Decker, Pat Elflein, Andrew Norwell. I need another tackle. Who else is playing tackle?
Did you
got Billy Pryor. I mean, but there's a bunch of dudes. There's your offensive line. They're all starting, getting paid.
I think there were some younger tackles that came out.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyways,
Jamarco.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, that's the thing. Running back, wide receiver, quarterback. I mean, defensive line. What?
And you got depth at every position.
Yeah.
DB.
It's not just a starting 11.
That used to always be the argument is that you didn't have that at quarterback for Ohio State. Well, that's fixed now. Dwayne Haskins
starting
quarterback for the Washington
Justin Fields will be the next one.
Yeah.
And then so on and so forth.
So now you've actually got a depth chart there lining up.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I'm glad you throw that out there, Schlegel. You just got rich NFL guys texting you during the show.
I know, what a baller.
He wants 2 striking machines for the Steelers with the arm attachments and stuff.
There you
Get
go.
that work in.
And he wanted to raise some money for mac and cheese bites. So
no, he doesn't. 'Cause he thinks like I do. He's just a good dude. What's up? What do you want to talk about now?
How much football did you guys watch this weekend? I said it last week, the frustration with that bizarre Central Arkansas game, or exciting Central
How was
Arkansas
it bizarre?
game.
I didn't watch it.
It was just a very low quality game.
Okay.
And it was bizarre that I was watching an FCS game on that week 0.
Right on.
I'm not trying. That was nothing against the quality of competition. I shouldn't have said it that way. But anyway, we're into it now. How much did you guys watch? I watched BYU Navy last night.
I watched about a quarter of that last night.
I watched like 2.5.
And then I found out that Navy didn't tackle since last year. Yeah, well, the coach came out and basically said so after. Well, we haven't been hitting. Like what?
Why? Because they said they didn't want to contact COVID, which is absolutely.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, I would think. But, it was kind of rough go last night there watching that, but it was,
How does it make you feel to know that it's happening? We're watching the Power 5 leagues. ACC is going to start this week. Like, I mean, those are recognizable programs. BYU and Navy.
Let's go.
That's a real game.
Yeah.
That's a real
disbelief that there's all these other people playing and we're not going to.
Right, and I was thankful to be able to watch football. I would never have watched a BYU Navy game before.
Exactly.
Never. But watching it, I could actually watch some D-line play. I could watch how, they're playing, how the team decides to approach Navy's scheme and all this kind of stuff, and it had some excitement to it that never would have brought it. But then at the same time, if Navy and BYU can play, gosh darn it, Ohio State needs to suit up. And that's just going to keep happening until they can play. But I mean, especially as some of these bigger programs start playing, it's just going to make me sick to watch. But I'm still going to watch because I need my fix of
Well, it just goes back to show the common sense rule, right? So you got BYU and Independent go play an AAC team in Navy, but yet Utah and Utah State, they're not playing. Just like Pittsburgh's playing, but Penn State can't play. Crazy talk. What are we doing?
Yeah.
So again, did I watch it? No, not at all.
Any game?
No,
No.
not at all.
Is that the
Do you
only-
guys talk sports on your sports talk radio?
Well, he was watching the Crew on Sunday night.
I love the Crew.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
right? Don't you lie to me.
I was watching.
Don't you lie to me like that.
I was watching him on the pitch.
Oh gosh.
I was
Around
noticing
Beamer for a
how
while.
good that
He printed out a
Listen,
sheet of soccer terms.
But here's the deal,
pitch
though.
equals field.
Where they Beamer
think
asked me that
anyways.
question. I'm like, no, I might have honestly caught a series and I looked at the score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. Here's the other thing. It's so beautiful in Columbus, Ohio this last weekend.
Oh, gosh.
The last thing I want to do is be inside watching that type of football. Now, if it was Ohio State, I would have DVR'd it and watched it later. But no, and I mean, I like watching baseball, so yeah, I'll catch on the Tribe. Some of the NBA games, if they're good, like and compelling, I'll go watch a little bit of that. I'm not gonna sit there and spend my time. Like, this is what happens when you get older, man. It's opportunity cost. Like, I want to spend time with my wife, my kids, watch a little sports. What do I want to consume? I want to consume the stuff that I like. And if it's not that, I'm gonna go do something else, man. I was hanging tree stands and stuff. Just hoping I don't get poison ivy. I got like a little itch because when you're in the weeds and you're in poison ivy, like when you unzip your deal because you gotta pee, right? You can't touch your junk with your deal,
you
which
gotta
is
be
tough,
careful
and
with
it's
that.
just flopping out there. And I got a
You're in
little
rare
piece
form today.
right there on the inside of my thigh.
right there.
I don't know.
We don't need to
I don't
see
know how
it.
it
Yeah,
got
no,
there.
thanks.
Just-
We've got to
Thanks.
maintain some standards and practice
Okay,
out there. But
Okay, Lettermen Row. I thought it was a
I think it's
podcast.
important, though. I've always found when I'm out in the woods, Schlegs, that you got to stay hydrated and you got to keep moving.
super
And if
hydrated.
you bend your knees, that's actually bad.
You want
don't want to. You want to stay elevated.
No.
You want to stay.
I'm gonna tell you,
Above
hey,
the poison ivy.
I'm gonna tell you something that's real talk. You want to work out? This log, I'm kid you not, was enormous. It was probably this big around, and it had like 3 parts to it. And a tree fell into the crack of this one because it kind of split 3 different directions. Well, the weight of that over the last month had that one fall, and it was directly in the road of the trail that I made with a bulldozer. So I had to go out there with a chainsaw and cut this thing. But again, it's elevated because it's going uphill. So what happens when you cut it? It pinches down.
Yeah.
It goes down this way. So then you got to V it. You got to V it and then cut it from the bottom. And then you got to get there. Praise God, I have my buddy there, Ben. I'm like, okay, you ready to do this? They're like, okay. And then just like the Egyptians, though, I stuck some logs under there. So when it did fall, it fell on logs so I could roll it out of the way.
Well,
boom, right there. 2.5 hours it took me to do that.
You know what they say at
With a
Rutgers?
chainsaw.
Keep chopping.
Keep chopping.
Keep chopping.
Is that what they say? They're the Golden Knights. Why would
I
they
was gonna
keep
go row
stabbing?
the boat.
I don't know. Greg Schiano's back there. He loves to chop, and it makes no
He
sense.
likes to chop it up.
Hey,
Like
what
with
they
his
like,
mouth.
what they like about having Rutgers in the league is that none of it makes any sense.
Yeah.
So
Nobody
it's a wild
cares. They
card.
really
It
just
is- what is it?
dig
Wild
into
card.
it.
Isn't it the State University of New
Of
Jersey?
New Jersey, yeah.
That's so garbage. The State University of New Jersey.
I've got a.
What?
If you like real talk, I've got a guy who used to help us at the site, Ryan Ginn. He covered Ohio State for a long
Is
time.
he related to Teddy?
No.
Oh, okay.
But he likes to pretend that he was. He likes to say, what if they just called them New Jersey State or the University of New Jersey?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't they be respectable? Wouldn't maybe somebody want to go there? Like Rutgers, nobody
The
knows.
State University. It sounds like they're going to prison.
Like, I'm going to New Jersey State.
Right?
Like, I'm actually. That makes you sound like you're getting recruited
The
to go
State
play by a real
University of
school.
New
That's what
Jersey.
pops into
Be like
mind about
Ohio
Rutgers
State.
except Rutgers.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was real
It
talk.
just exudes.
I think they're just
prison.
gonna have a tough time getting anybody to go there.
Well,
That's why people go there, right? They live in Jersey. It's like, okay, number one class they offer is tax evasion. Poof, David
Well, I feel like
Let's go.
Rutgers was good back when The Sopranos was on, right? And then it kind of
Yeah.
went,
they were
went
in-
downhill after that.
they were in a different league.
I don't have much to say about New Jersey.
Yeah. I've
never
been in
been
there.
there. I've never been there. I don't-
I've been through
There's
their
nothing
toll
that
roads.
says,
coming
hey,
out of
visit.
New
Let's go
York.
take a trip to New Jersey.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's really pushed me in that direction. I don't think anything will.
Yeah,
Probably not.
me neither. I would never want to go there.
I've had to go there
Oh, wow.
twice.
Look at that.
I'm
Thank
trying
you.
to think what the combined score of my last 2 visits there. It was something like 130 to 14 or something. But
Go Bucks.
It's
So
really
it's what it's-
elevated.
Oh, that was
What's
good.
another
Always
question,
gonna be.
man? Let's go. This is a great podcast. Who else are we talking about?
What? I got a question.
There we go. Co-host.
What?
over here.
Co-host. Hey,
Well, I don't think these guys are going to know,
The
but what?
Polo boys.
I've been reading about what they're
got
able
you.
to do
Talk to
during
that guy over
practice.
there.
You
Yeah.
get 12 hours or whatever,
talking
right?
about practice?
There's no 7-on-7. There's no 11-on-11. What are they doing? Have they
Yes.
any media in there to actually see what a practice looks like?
No, but here's what I can tell you, Jay-Z. They have the 12-hour work week that was approved. My understanding is that they're going through 2 of those that Schlegel described, the helmets and spider pads.
Yeah.
2 of those a week, hour and a half to 2 hours.
So just say
It's like
2, so
20
that's 4.
And then they're allowed to do
Minus 12, that's 8 hours.
That's on field.
on field with coaches, which you're not generally, that's basically the late summer
Yeah.
plan.
Drill work.
Yeah, we're on.
The drill work. They cannot do 7-on-7. They can't do 11-on-11 any scrimmage situation. So it's you can get around.
So you're
that.
doing a lot on air, basically.
Yeah.
Well, they're doing a lot of error and they're doing.
But so you can do
not
an
like
11-on-0, but you just can't go 11-on-11.
Yeah.
So why not start with that? Do it for a week, retest people, see how that happened, and then allow a little bit more contact.
Because that would make
and
too
then-
much sense.
God.
Calm
Whoa.
down.
How is anything?
This is
Yeah,
a
You can't make
common
sense here.
sense free
Yeah.
zone.
Sorry, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, we don't talk
Common
about
sense
common sense
free
here.
zone here.
Bless.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's amazing.
You blew
You
our
had no
mind.
no COVID, and
But once again, it
5
just goes
months.
to we're
Yeah.
just trying to appease people rather than actually solve the problem.
Yep, you're right.
It's garbage.
So, anyways,
But
they
then
are.
you can,
Yeah,
and then you
makes me
can have.
All right, so that's 4 hours. So you got 8 more hours.
The 2 to 3 weightlifting conditioning sessions.
All right,
Okay,
so
so
let's say
that's-
those add an hour because that's how they're going to do it.
And then
So what's that, 7?
Because these are countable activities that you can have
1 hour.
12.
Well, you're doing what, 3? You doing 3 workouts?
3 weeks.
And you have
3 weeks, so you got 7.
and then team meetings and positional meetings.
That's
team
5.
meetings. So that's the 12, right?
That's 12.
All right, sure.
Yeah, that's how you.
It's
get
never discretionary to be elite. Remember that, Mike? You always said that.
Well, this is now back. Ohio State
you want
last week.
what?
They did have the discretionary period. Not everybody was back the week before. So
Yeah.
there were 2 weeks where they could have made it mandatory.
Okay.
Last week and the week before, they did not do that. Ryan Day chose to let them, until classes started, did not have to be there. I believe that roughly half the team was still here.
It's more like 90%.
98%.
95. Just so everybody knows, again, where are they going? And if you look at the team, I guarantee you the scholarship guys were here because they have apartments and there's nowhere else for them to go.
And when has ever discretionary meant
Yeah.
not mandatory?
That's that's a different school. But anyways, they're back to requiring that now. So they are getting ready. But everybody was there last week. I was told 100% of the roster was there. The week before was not 100%, but last week it was. They're ready to go. People saw Justin Fields at a different scrimmage somewhere else the week before. That was also something that was made out of nothing.
Yeah, who made something out of that? I mean, it's ridiculous. His sister goes there.
Didn't read it at lettermenrow.com, so it didn't happen.
Yeah, no doubt.
There you go.
Yeah, I didn't even know
I
that.
will tell you this, man. Like, I try to go, and educate myself when I don't know something. And, hey, people out there, listen, if you want to get your information and consume it by people that don't know what you're talking about, but then pawn that off as fact, like, that's on you because it's still not fact, right? So kudos to Lettermen Row for bringing out the real stuff.
I appreciate that. That seems like a good place to end when I can tap myself on the back.
Good.
Proud of you.
I can't do any better than that.
Can you?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I can't. I mean,
all right.
my transverse
Oh, you're just so
arms.
big.
You got to get into some yoga.
not.
No,
That'll
man,
really take
I don't
you
have
to the next
time.
level.
I don't have time.
Oh, you could do some yoga.
No.
Just
gotta give
something-
up.
I used to
one
do
lower
Bikram
body
yoga
day.
all
You got to
the
give
time.
up one of your bumpy days.
No, I don't want to do
Get
that
into
because it
some yoga.
requires time.
He won't even give up one to eat some mac
Not
and
even
cheese
one.
bites for charity.
Listen.
Like,
At the
come
end
on.
of the
I
day,
know.
my
I
care about
shop.
people.
If it's 90
Steph
degrees
must just
outside,
run a strict house at home.
my shop is so hot. I sweat because I wear jeans. It's 90 degrees outside.
personal
I just like sweating,
Don't
so
wear
I
jeans.
sweat that way.
You're the owner. You can change your dress
Well, no, I'm
code
not
if you
talking
want
about
to.
Turn on the AC, man.
gotta
No,
stretch
man, they
more.
made me buy this sign for workman's comp for like $12.99 laminated or crap that I got to post up there for working conditions.
That's only
I'm
for
the
when
only
the-
cat
that's only
that
when-
works there,
for when somebody
along with
comes
my
in.
kids that I pay $10 an hour and I don't give it to them. I'm just like, yeah, how much is that? $49.99. Well, you owe me $5 for tax.
Yep, called a
Boom,
life lesson.
swipe the card.
Called a
Yes,
life lesson.
life lesson.
Hello, it's the Better Business Bureau. We were just watching
Daddy's
Letterman
got to
Live.
ship some product. Let's go. Who wants to make some money? I'll buy some fishing gear for you.
All right, I told you we were going to
You
get
should
back.
have said stop before.
When I knew we were getting back to a fun
I
casual
love it.
conversation,
It's
you
what
can
it
tell that
is.
there's some positive momentum back for football because we're having a lot more fun than
That's
we've
right.
had in a long time.
General Bob's out there fighting hard.
Yeah, you need to get him in here next week so he can get
Let's
this
hear it.
field.
Hoot!
Justin Zwick, Anthony Schlegel, Michael Bennett. I am just Austin Ward. This has been Letterman Live, brought to you by Roosters. Be back next week, and hopefully there'll be a lot more good news. We'll see you then.